Uranus in Gemini is going to be highly revolutionary over the next 7 to 8 years. And there's going to be a lot of things going on during these years that are going to be pivotal for us moving forward in our lives and our own experiences. And I'm here to discuss that and break that down. So, I want to discuss Uranus in Gemini, and I want to break down a couple dates for you. The first date is that when Uranus entered Gemini was from July 7th, and it stayed until November 7th of 2025. It's going to enter Gemini again April 25th of this year, and it's going to stay until August 3rd of 2032, and then it's going to it's going to move into Cancer for a little bit, and then it's going to back right up into Gemini December 11th, 2032. It's going to stay in Gemini until May 21st, 2033 before it finally moves on. So, what is Uranus? Well, Uranus brings sudden change to the table. Uranus is a lightning bolt energy. It just is suddenly disrupting, it is suddenly moving and breaking up the status quo and breaking up all that is, you're having an environment that's very, very smooth sailing, and then something happens and then it totally just rocks your world. That's Uranus. Can indicate revolution. So, revolution when it comes to innovation could be also very, very highly in the maker shiftings for this particular transit. So, revolution. New revolutions, new political revolutions, new social revolutions, new national revolutions. Liberation. Uranus is us liberating ourselves from the status quo. As I said before, like breaking free of limiting structures, limiting societal structures. Because Uranus is the maverick, Uranus is the revolutionary. Uranus shows, it doesn't necessarily show, like you on an everyday level with how you act, how you talk, how you feel. It rather shows, how you shape the broader collective. That's what Uranus shows. Like how you as an individual shape the collective and shape the broader masses of people. Because that is Uranus. It isn't just, I'm just being who I am. It's you being who you are in a way that's not like grabbing the attention like Leo, but it is for the good of humanity. And then in the future. So it's going to indicate any outdated structure that exists in the world. Any governmental, political structure, whatever it is, we could break out of that. And then disruptions could come out of this transit. Big disruptions of changes when it comes to everything that we are learning about and everything that we are developing into and doing. So disruptions of all these different kind of things. Like Uranus is the great disruptor. Now, Uranus in Gemini could bring about a shift in how we communicate. Introducing all these technologies. I'm going to get into some of these inventions, and I'm going to list them later on in this video. But Gemini is how we communicate. It's communication. And Uranus is change and revolution. So changing how we communicate and a sudden change in your social groups. This is what it could also turn into. Is suddenly the dynamic in your social groups is getting changed. Suddenly you're interacting with these people and then they turn on a dime and then act another way, and then you're interacting with all these new groups of people. And it's a very, very different environment. So there could be some changing dynamics in your intellectual connections and your relationships over the next 7 to 8 years. Now, cutting-edge technology may really come out during this time, and I'm going to get into all the cutting-edge technology later on in this video. But we have to circle back to Uranus and Taurus first of all, because it shook Uranus and Taurus is about what you value. It's about what's important to you, about what gives you stability and peace and structure. Like, I have a Taurus North Node, and I need to stop being so extreme and stop getting that habit pattern of wanting to make things so extreme based off of the crisis that I've experienced in past lives, and do what makes me feel at peace with myself. Lean into valuing myself, honoring my body, honoring my physical health, honoring my well-being and peace being, and really tapping into those very high vibrational gratitude like states of being. So Taurus is your values, what really matters to you. And Uranus shook this up. Uranus changed this for all of us. It looks at our sense of security, like material security, and stability. Looks at stability. And it also looks at food, like it changed the food markets, it changed the food, scene for all of us when it comes to how food was produced and how food was marketed, and how, like, Uranus and Taurus is like, can we get to a cleaner, more organic, more natural way of living, where it's simpler, where it's from the earth, where it's not processed food, where we're really being conscious of growing our food, being conscious of the food that we consume, and making sure that the food is at a high frequency that we are consuming, that it is natural, and the cream of the crop, basically. So we want the real thing with Uranus and Taurus. Now, Uranus and Taurus, which we've had since 2018, they are not bedfellows. Uranus and Taurus are not bedfellows, because Uranus just wants all this change and disruption, and it wants to bring in new fresh ideas and new innovations to the table. Taurus digs in its heels, and it's like, no, I don't like change. I want to resist change at every single turn. And so Taurus resists change. Like, any change, Taurus is uncomfortable with. Food changes in diet, changes in where you're living, changes in the environment that you're in. Like, all these changes, Taurus is uncomfortable with changes on the material level. So we really work through that during this time. So Uranus in Gemini is going to really revolutionize the way that we think about the world. The way that we view the world intellectually, the way that we connect to the world, and the way that we interact with the world around us. Because Gemini is how we, with our minds and intellectual abilities, interact with the world around us through analyzing information, gathering data, learning, sharing this information. The key here is to be as flexible and adaptable as you can be. If you are open to change, then you will be golden during this transit. It will be smooth sailing. Like, if you're open to being flexible and adaptable to the changes that may come about in your life, and may come about in the world, like this is asking you, can you be open and flexible to change? Can you be bendable? Can you be like bamboo, bending to change and not be so stuck and rigid and fixed? So Uranus comes in, and big Uranus transits, you're going along, and then suddenly, boom, some change is disrupted that you didn't actually put the effort into change, but Uranus comes and just shakes it up and says, you've got to change this. You've got to revolutionize this, because you can't continue going on this way. It is not for your highest good to go on this way. Okay. So I'm going to get into some of the inventions now of Uranus in Gemini. The first invention, and there's quite a few of them, and I'm going to list them. I found out about all of these inventions, and I'm going to list my findings out to you. So the first one is part-time model hybrid workplaces. There could be workplaces where there's not as many employers working, where people have, more days off to, as opposed to just working at the desk and slaving away all the time. Well, like, there's more flexibility with that. There could be outdoor spaces and rooftops for workplaces, all this kind of things like that, where there's, that kind of thing, where there's more innovations than that. Now, AI, we're already seeing it with Pluto and Aquarius, and there are going to be some, I'm going to talk about this, and I'm probably going to talk about this in July, Uranus-Pluto trines, which is going to be for a long time, and those are going to be really, really significant. Those are going to, I'm going to talk about that. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But Pluto brings about, Pluto brings our awareness to AI, and, I've really gone down a rabbit hole back in February about AI. Well, just started to, I didn't really. And YouTube is coming out with AI. There's the AI Shorts feature. AI is, everywhere now with, looking up information and, doing all this stuff. And, like, AI is great as a source which gives information about whatever you're looking up. It gives instant data, instant information. But we have to use it ethically when it comes to videos, when it comes to movies. Being able to discern what is and isn't AI, being able to make it clear, and being able to, use AI in a way that is ethical. So AI is great, but we want to use this technology for better reasons, and it could create policies on data collection. Also, like our data, like keeping our data private, protecting the privacy of our data. That's going to be really, really important. There could be a new source of power with Pluto and Aquarius. That could be very, very popular because Pluto is the planet of power, and it could be technological power. It could be computerized power. It could be just throw out a word here. Don't ask me what this means, but neuroscientific power. But so, and I have to give credit to the Astro Twins, for making this reference back to the Industrial Revolution. Because I think that we were having these same transits of Uranus and Gemini, Pluto, and Aquarius back in the Industrial Revolution. Because I do believe that the natal America's natal Uranus is in Gemini, so I think America will experience its natal Uranus return. Sometime I want to do a video on the U.S. Pluto return, because even though it's long gone by now, I do want to talk about that because I find that very, very interesting. So sometime I want to make a whole video on that. But so Astro Twins came up with this invention, or didn't come up with it, but referenced the spinning jenny that was developed that moved textile production from the home to factory manufacturing. So, people were doing, wools and crafting and all this at home, and then it moved to the factories. And where one worker could be, working with one thread and then another thread at the same time, doing it in a multitasking way, and this technology allowed for that. So the Uranus-Pluto trines could bring up innovations in AI technology, and robotics could really be advanced during these next 7 to 8 years. There could be transportation there could be advances in transportation. That's getting revolutionized. E-bikes. I want to discuss e-bikes. Which runs on electricity. E-bikes run on electricity. Has an electric motor and a rechargeable battery. So you're going to find it easier to ride the bike if it has these things, if it has these appeals to it. So that's what those are, in case you're wondering what those are. So I'm clarified that. And then driverless cars. We could see driverless cars as being very, very big. Where you get in a car and you could fall asleep, and then you could put in a location, and you wake up in your driveway, and then you're back to where you are. So that could certainly be something with this driverless cars. Big, very, very big thing with this transit. And I cannot wait, for that invention to come out, where I don't have to sit and drive. I can just relax and read or do whatever while the car is moving. Then there could be flying cars, where it would rise above traffic. And they're over $100,000. They're very, very expensive. Obviously, over time they will hopefully become cheaper, but the newest inventions of them right now, even like there's this airport in Great Britain which has flying cars in it. I bet those are super expensive. There could be advancements in electric and hydrogen-powered vehicles, and advancements in battery technologies. So those things come out. There could be new developments in telecommunications, computers, phones, certain chips of information, those kind of things, certain mobile devices. So a lot of this is very, very technological. Now, one of the things that I found out about Uranus and Gemini, which happened back when it happened in the 1940s, was that TVs got mainstream into homes, and people started watching sports and all these kind of things like that, and then computers got invented. And computers really started where it was this big giant thing in a room. They took up a whole entire room, and then you would just sit down at just a laptop computer now. So that's what got invented the first time around. Facial recognition technology. That could be also huge. Where this technology is that tracks down identities through being able to determine who is who. Really, really important and very significant. There could be a lot of genetic engineering and personalized medicine, like more advances in that. There could be therapies in cancer. There could be things like problems that solve any kind of disorder in your genes. And any gene editing technology could be playing out very, very well. And then also technologies like clothes and shoes or whatever that you can wear, that is going to become very, very huge with wellness tracking sensors and all that kind of thing like that. So now there could be an increase in births. Now, I'm going to just name and claim, because this thought is coming up, that these are not, I'm not just willy-nilly, just giving you like my predictions of what's going to happen. These are recorded inventions that will happen with Uranus and Gemini. The more specific the information, the more careful you have to be about it. And we're going to be really, really looking at how we I think a thought that I want to add in here is, privacy around intellectual property, intellectual information. That's going to be a really, really big focus, I think, also. So going along with this, kind of proving my point here. Increase in births, more babies could get born, wellness advancements. That could be also a factor. Also, food. People really, really getting, trying out new dishes, playing around with new cuisines, and just being very, very inventive and creative and out of the box thinking, oh, what can we come up with? People are going to be more inventive, more imaginative, like, let's come up with these new ideas. Like, you're going to find that with Uranus and Gemini, we have a greater sense of curiosity about the world. That's going to certainly increase and turn on a dime. And so new cooking technologies, like the technologies that we use for the culinary process are going to get advanced, most likely. Now, governments may be having to really, really be, really adhering to and keeping up with changes that may happen when it comes to all these new technologies coming out, where political leaders focus on regulating emerging technologies, and such as AI. Like AI is a technology that really, really needs to be regulated so that we make it as ethical as possible. There could also be new laws and international advances attending, related to, so what I mean here is, new laws around, our safety on the internet. I mean, this is a very, very big issue. Like making the internet a safe, kind, open place. And Gemini is an air sign, so it does rule those kind of things like that. So, cybersecurity is going to be a really, really big thing with this, protecting our data, protecting our privacy, and keeping everything private, not what, because my worst fear really is hackers coming in and, hacking my channel. And I think when I get up to 2,000 subscribers, I think I'm going to go in and make my password the hardest password that it can ever be, so that no hacker can get into it, because I've lost so much in my life. I can't afford for a hacker to come in and take that from me. And then protecting data. It could also be young people leading political movements and reforming certain things when it comes to their movements, when it comes to what they're actually doing, what they're actually contributing to life in society. So, political movements could be, political movements about justice and all these themes and reforms. There could also be, regional wars. Localized wars, those kind of things like that. That's very, very possible with Uranus and Gemini. And then there could be a lot of, at best we want to use this energy to be more open-minded and come together with like-minded individuals and connect on intellectual levels in a more advanced way. And not divisive, not divided, not dividing us and them, and not, keeping ourselves from all that. So, all that connection, all that coming together that we could easily form. And so we can really, really keep ourselves from that if we choose to go along with the, divisive way of living. So, internal conflicts within nations caused by divides in ideology and calls for independence. All right. So, there could be, divides and I just want to clarify I just want to know what I'm talking about, because when it comes into this mundane, world stuff, mundane astrology, it's very, very important to know what I'm talking about. So an ideology is your beliefs, your values, and the ideas that shape how you see the world, how you view the world, affects how you act. So that's what an ideology is. It's very, very simple and very, very straightforward. So that is what I want to clarify with that. All right. So I'm doing this video early because right now I'm at Rochester and Minnesota, and I'm at Mayo, and I'm going to be very, very busy Thursday, and so I want to get this done early so that and then tomorrow I'll have all day off, so I'll do the for your signs, for the signs tomorrow. And it's going to be very, very interesting to come up with like what the signs can experience, because a lot of this is like inventions of things. So I'm going to really, really have to be creative, be Uranus, be out of the box, not do what you're thinking that I'm going to do with how I'm going to deliver you individual horoscopes for your signs. So tune in for that episode tomorrow for Uranus and Gemini, what it means for your individual sign. So, but I'm not going to resort to the whole sign house system. Not going to do that. That is not what I do. There's no exception to that. I do not do that. Even when I come an astrologer, I will not be doing that, because, if I do become an astrologer, I won't be doing that, because, I have my own opinions about it. So, more people could find, like, I want the freedom to express my ideas. I want the freedom to be my independent self. And, do all these kind of things like that. Now, another very interesting, and this is, okay, there's a term for this, and this is called magically beloved. Okay, magically beloved, where it's not realistic, but there's just something beloved about it. Like, I find humanity and humans so beloved nowadays. I've just come to, really, really appreciate that. And I'm going to say that, one of the things that I read that was very, very interesting about this is that, imagine, if you will, you are watching a TV show or a movie, and suddenly there was like a button on your screen that you could click, and suddenly you would be able to choose a character. And then the characters then the actors on the TV and the characters in the show would be able to see you and interact with, like, imagine this. It's mind-boggling to imagine characters doing their thing, just acting in shows, minding their own business, doing what they're supposed to do. And then all of a sudden they're seeing you, and it's like they're seeing you and they're hearing you, and you put on a character and you choose a character, and you, participate in that show. You contribute to that show, and then you act, and then you share lines, and then you get to participate however you want to in that show. And then the characters, improv off the lines that they were supposed to give, and you're part of the show. Like, I mean, that, like, just isn't that mind-boggling to you? Like, wow. It almost sounds too good to be true. I mean, that would be, well, overwhelmingly addictive, and just, I mean, I can't even with this, because it just, and then also, you can also choose how you control what's actually going on. Like, you can press, like, this character is going to do this, or this character is going to say this, or this conclusion is going to be reached here, or this is how the story is going to end. This is the plot twist in the story. Like, all these things could happen with this. Now, with Uranus and Gemini, there could be new understandings and breakthroughs on how we communicate. How we, what the way that we communicate is going to get altered around. Maybe it could be galactic communication. Who knows? Shared information, like how we share information, is going to be like how we, because Gemini is the sharing of information, and how we learn about the world. We really, really. How we learn about the world around us is going to get changed. Is going to get altered around, like how we see the world, and the way that we comprehend the world is going to get changed, and also could change how ideas travel. That's big. How ideas, start from one place and then travel to another place and travel to another place. Like all these ideas, the exchanging of information could get really, really looked at huge. How we identify and truth, like where we come across it, and if it is true, like we're going to have very, very logical, like Gemini's logic will become a lot more logical during this transit. Are going to determine like what is true and what is not, like being able to discern like what information is true, what information is false, and also how minds connect to things, and each other. How we connect to the world, like we connect to the world all the time. Books, podcasts, people, situations that we go into, movies, shows, music. How our minds connect to the world around us, and how we interact with each other intellectually will probably be really, really, rebuilt and changed and, destabilized and shaken up. Like Uranus shakes up all these things related to whatever science and to great revolution and sudden change. All right. Well, that is it. That is all that I have on Uranus and Gemini, and we are 31 minutes in. That is a record because previous podcast episodes have been long, but this is one of those podcast episodes where I'm going very, very short with this. So, thank you for tuning in. This is just the collective. I do believe that the 12 sign forecast will be longer than this, though. And you want to tune in for what I have to say for each individual sign. It's going to be really, really fun to come up with what the signs can experience based off of the information that I have on Uranus and Gemini. So I'm very, very excited to really sit down and carve out that video for you tomorrow and do that, which I bet will get a lot of views over time. My 12 sign forecasts are the videos that get the most views in my astrology videos, because out of all the videos, because, well, 12 sign just attracts people. So there you go. Okay, so I hope that you got something out of this forecast. This very, very short episode of the Cosmic Sky podcast. This is a really, really big transit, and I would be remiss if I did not cover this transit. So tune in for that video on the 12 signs coming up tomorrow. Anyway, bye for now, everybody. I will see you on the next episode.